What's up, YouTube? This is Chris, the Unprofessional Dad, and I am back tonight with another knife video, bringing to you another piece of my collection. Tonight I actually wanted to share with you a special video that I've been thinking about for a little while, because every time I think about my knives, I think about how far I've come since I started collecting and how lucky I am to be where I am right now. When I first started collecting, I was actually buying knives that were in the $20 to $30 range, and because I didn't know what I didn't know, I thought that I had some really good knives. And, then throughout the process and the journey of becoming a knife collector and a knife enthusiast, and actually watching videos and reading podcasts or reading blogs and watching podcasts, Knife Banner, Knife Center, Blade HQ, different things like that. Over that journey, you actually learn a lot. You learn about the different blade steels, the different brands that are out there. You learn about the handle materials, about the different levels of manufacturing and just quality. So you find out really quickly that there is much more to knife collecting and the knife world than Kershaw and Gerber and the knives that you can buy at your local Walmart. That was a lesson that I really quickly learned. I did not think that I would ever be able to sit at a table and talk about the knives that I'm about to show you. So I'm really fortunate, I'm really blessed, and I'm very, very thankful that all of these are in my collection. And every time I look at them and I hold them or I take them out and use them for EDC or anything else like that, I'm reminded by how blessed and fortunate I am. And because of how blessed and fortunate I am, I actually am going to do my very first contest. It's a way that I can actually build and hopefully grow this little experiment that I have here, which is making knife videos, something that gives me an outlet to enjoy my knives, but also to share them with the other people that are knife enthusiasts out there on YouTube. So tonight I'm going to actually promote my very first contest. Stick around to the very end and you're going to find out all about it. And I really do think that it's going to be a good one. And somebody really soon is going to get a really great knife. So stick around to the very end of this video and you'll find out all about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some of the knives that I'm really blessed and fortunate to own. The very first one that I want to show you all is a Kunwu. Now this is the Kunwu Django. I didn't know anything about Kunwu until recently. I actually was watching Knife Center and Blade HQ, just like I was just saying, and one of the knives that they were showing was Kunwu knives. And I was blown away by how nice they looked, about the level of quality that they were speaking of. The prices were a little shocking, but when you get into this knife collecting, you find out that a lot of the knives out there are not cheap. So the Django was a knife that really caught my eye. This is a knife with Elmax steel for the blade. It has titanium handles. It has their own version of the cross lock. It has a deep carry pocket clip that's milled. It's on bearings. I love the shape of the blade. It has a thumb hole for quick and easy access and opening, which I am not a good flipper. You'll find that out, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you already know that. Because of the size of my hands, and different things, arthritis and different things I've done to my hands and beat them up over the years, I'm not a great flipper, but I try, and I'm getting better every day. But this knife is a beautiful knife. I love it because of the size of it, because it fits great in my hands, because I do have those big beefy hands. And you'll notice that most of the knives on the table here are knives with some size to them. I do have a lot of the fifth carry pocket knives, or fifth pocket carry knives, I should say, tongue-tied. But a lot of those smaller knives, they just aren't for me. They're just too small for my hands. I like a knife that I can actually feel, that I can get a good grip on, that I've got control of. And this is one of those knives. The jimping is more for aesthetics than anything. I'm not a fan of the jimping. I do like jimping. I like aggressive jimping on knives. And this isn't as aggressive as I like, but it's jimping nonetheless. This is a $240 knife. You can buy it on knifecenter.com, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, Blade HQ, unless they're sold out. Most places actually carry them, and this is the Kunwu Django. And if you've not experienced a Kunwu, they are exceptional knives, and the quality is second to none. I mean, they're just beautiful, they're gorgeous. The Elmax steel, I can already tell, is a razor blade. It's extremely sharp, and from everything that I've seen about Elmax, it's going to hold its edge really well. So I'm really fond of this knife, and I'm looking forward to actually getting this with some pocket time and trying it out. But that's the very first knife on my list, and I'm blown away that I actually own a Kunwu Django. The next knife is actually one of the very first knives that I actually bought when I started collecting knives, really collecting. When I started spending money on them, learning about them, and is the Microtech LUDT. It is an automatic knife that is fantastic. Now Microtech, they actually, if you own Microtech, you already know this, but Microtech will basically use any powder steel or high quality steel that they can get their hands on at the time. And this actually happens to be M390. It has aluminum scales. It's not a deep carry pocket clip. I wish it did have a deep carry pocket clip, but it has a nice little lanyard here, and the lanyard actually has a titanium skull on it, a bead that was actually on it when I bought it. This does have good jimping. That jimping actually travels pretty far up the blade, so I can get a good grip on it. I like the LUDT. I'm not a big fan of automatics and out the fronts, but I love Protex and I love the LUDT. I don't have many automatic knives, but the ones that I do have, I absolutely love. And the LUDT is a beast. It'll jump out of your hand. It's got some force. When you push that button, you can feel it just wanting to jump into position. It's really sharp. It's a great EDC knife, and it's a phenomenal brand. Microtech, I mean, the reputation says everything. The LUDT. I think the LUDT is about $260 right now if you can find them in stock. There's different blade shapes. You can get them with serrations and without serrations. You can get different colors on the aluminum handles. So there's some options out there. But this is the LUDT with Microtech. $260. The next knife is also a Microtech, and this I have not had long, but this is my new favorite knife as far as the folder goes on a pocket knife. It is the Microtech MSI, and this knife is gorgeous. It is a monster knife. It is huge. It makes my hands feel small. Great action. The action on these bearings is so phenomenal. Even somebody like me who has trouble flipping, the action is incredible. It has a deep carry pocket clip. It's extremely wide, and it is beautiful. The blade is the apocalyptic style. It's $176 right now. It's M390 steel. It's black polymer injection molded handles. It's a reversible pocket clip, and it is gorgeous. I love this knife. I've actually cut myself on this knife a few times because it's so sharp. The jimping is a little odd. It's different than other knives jimping, but it is a little aggressive. I would appreciate it if it went a little bit farther down the blade, but it goes far enough. And it is amazing. I love this knife. I've already been carrying this knife. Now, the thing about big knives like this, and if you do carry big knives, and you'll already know this, which I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'3", I'm 265 pounds. So I'm a bigger guy with big hands and stuff like that. But when you carry big knives like this, they're gonna weigh your pockets down. So you need a good belt, and you also need to make sure that you can dedicate that pocket to the knife. Because when you have a big knife like this in your pocket, it's really hard to fit things like cell phones or anything like that in and out of that pocket. So you're basically giving up a pocket space. And that's no problem for me because I'm big into EDC, and whether it be an EDC bag or something like that that I'll carry on me, I pretty much have all of my pocket space covered. So it doesn't bother me to dedicate a pocket to a knife like this. And when you have a knife like this, it deserves its own pocket because this knife is fantastic. It's the Microtech MSI, a knife that I am absolutely tickled to death to own, and I can't believe that I have it. One of my favorite brands is Protech, and I've said that in many of my videos, but right there behind Protech is Spyderco. Spyderco's been around since the 80s. They actually started making blades in 78 and 79 out of their vehicle, traveling around to festivals. The guy who runs Spyderco, and him and his wife, they actually made some other products as well, but that's when Spyderco was born. And ever since then, Spyderco has been one of the best knife brands on the market when it comes to quality, reliability, the warranty, different things like that. And the Spyderco that I actually want to show you tonight is the Shaman. Now, I have many Spydercos, and I love Spydercos. I love the spider hole for the easy thumb flip. I love the compression lock. I love their warranty. I love the fact that they are made in America. Now, they do have some of their knives that are made in Taiwan and China and stuff like that, but this has XHP steel, and it is made in Golden, Colorado. So this is an American-made knife. It's the Shaman. Now, the Shaman is not a cheap knife. It's $265. So it's not a cheap knife, but it is worth it. It is worth the $265. It's a good size knife, so it fits good in my hands. It's got a good pocket clip. It's the standard pocket clip on the Spydercos. I mean, it's pretty typical. Now, you can get aftermarket pocket clips, and the great thing about Spyderco is there's so many aftermarket scales and different things that you can swap out for the handles. It does have the steel liners and everything, but there's just unlimited options of what you can do with these knives. But I love them just the way they come. It's 4-position pocket clips, so you can rotate it from left hand, right hand, tip up, tip down, whatever you want. So whatever your flavor is, that's what you can do with this knife. And I absolutely love that about this. But I do love the warranty. I love the XHP steel. I love the shape of the blade. I love the jimping. The jimping is so aggressive that if you got your thumb on that, it'll strip the skin off your thumb before it lets your thumb go. I mean, that is aggressive jimping that I absolutely love. Again, I love the compression lock. I have some of their knives that have the lock backs and different things like that, some liner locks, but their compression lock is an amazing locking system. It's a one-handed opening and closing system. I love the spider hole, so you can actually use your thumbs to open it. Again, I'm not the best with opening and closing knives and flipping them. I can say that until I'm blue in the face, but you know, it is what it is. But these knives are easy to use, they're easy to operate, they're sharp, they last, the warranty, and the name. And there's just so many different options with Spyderco, whether you're talking the Para 2, the Para 3, the military, the Shaman, the Bodacious, and there's just so many. There's just so many options with Spyderco, and every one of them is a phenomenal knife. But the Spyderco Shaman, $265. I absolutely love this knife. It does get pocket carry, which not a lot because I've got so many knives that I try to rotate back and forth between. But the Spyderco Shaman, it's a blessing to own this thing. Anybody that has ever bought an Italian-made knife will know that the next thing I'm about to say is true. It's the gospel. Italian-made knives, the quality is amazing. It's next level. And one of the knives that I have here right now that I want to show you is the MKM Hero. This knife, it's a lockback, so I'm not a big fan of lockbacks and stuff like that, but I do have a lot. But listen to this. Oh, that is the most satisfying sound that any knife I have makes. I can sit and do this all day. Now I have the Viper turn. I have a couple Italian knives, and they all have lockbacks and stuff, and they all do this. But this knife, for some reason, that's just so satisfying. That snap, that click, you can feel it. It's a good sized knife that feels good in the hand. It has a deep carry pocket clip, and I love the fact that the screws are actually inset into the pocket, or into the scales, into the handle, so that it doesn't snag on your pocket hem, and it's not going to rip and tear at your pockets every time you put it in or pull it out. The jimping is aggressive. Now, it doesn't go very far down the blade, but where it is, it's aggressive. It's got dual thumb studs. It's Böhler M390 steel. It's got titanium bolsters. Now, the handle material, I'm not really sure about, because it actually is like a mystery material. They don't even tell you what material the handle is made out of when you look online. So I'm not really sure. I wish I did know to tell you, but what a gorgeous knife. I love the fact that with the Italian-made knives, the blade at the top is actually crowned or rounded. Just makes it look and feel elegant and classy. This isn't a tactical knife. It isn't a tactical knife. It's a very, very large gentleman's knife, if you ask me. It would look classy and good with a pair of slacks, even though it is huge. So, and it's very heavy. It's going to weigh your pockets down. This knife is the heaviest knife on the table, not counting the fixed blades. And actually, the heaviest knife on the table is another Italian-made knife, believe it or not, and it's a fixed blade. But the MKM Hero, now this knife right here is about $290, so it's not cheap, but all of your Italian-made knives are expensive. I mean, I'm sure you can find cheap ones, but like anything, there's an exception and there's a rule. And the rule is most of your Italian-made knives are expensive, but they're also high quality. And I love the MKM Hero. This is a knife that does not get a lot of pocket time. It does not get a lot of use. It's just one of those knives that I just like to look at. I like to jerk it out and listen to that snap, hold it, experience it. I do use it a little bit around the house. It's a great slicer, but it's an expensive knife, and it is what it is. It's a beautiful knife that there will be times where I do carry this knife, and they will be if I'm going to a wedding or something like that, and I don't want to carry in a Microtech MSI or something like that that's really tactical. I'm going to jerk this knife out, and that's where I'm going to that's where I'm going to get the use out of these knives. But I love my Italian-made knives, and the Hero is one of the best ones that I have. And every time I look at this knife, I remember how far I have come. When I watched this knife on Knife Center and DCA, David C. Anderson, was talking about the Hero, it blew me away. I was like, that's a gorgeous knife. I'd love to have one of those, but that's an expensive price tag, and I do not think I'm going to be getting one of those anytime soon. And now here I am doing a video on YouTube with my own MKM Hero. And again, I'm extremely fortunate. Now, I've already said a couple times, my favorite brand, hands down, no questions asked, is ProTech. I don't know what it is about ProTech, but I love the ProTechs. I'm not even a fan of automatics, like I've already said. Out the fronts and automatics, I'm not a big fan of them. I don't carry them that often or anything like that. I've got kids and stuff, and you know, you got to be really careful about automatics. You got to be careful what setting you're in. You don't want to be in a public place and you jerk out an automatic knife and, you know, scare people and old ladies and things like that. So it is what it is. But ProTech has a lot more than just automatic knives. And one of the knives that they do have is the Mordax. And this, I can't even say enough about this knife. This knife, the action is so silky smooth and so easy and quick and snappy. I mean, what an amazing knife. It's got aluminum handles, S45 VN steel. It comes in at $250. Now, ProTech is an automatic knife company, but they have a lot of knives that aren't automatics, and this is one of those, the button lock Mordax. And I love it. It's a bigger knife, feels good in my hand. It is deep carry pocket clip, and also another one of those where the screws are inset into the handles, which I've already said I really appreciate. It's a very slicey blade. It's not got very thick blade stock, so it's a thin blade. Slicey, incredibly sharp. I've cut myself on this knife many times. This knife has got a ton of pocket time. It's a fantastic knife that I love. It's phenomenal. It's ProTech's one of their, see, gotta be really careful. It's one of ProTech's, in my opinion, one of their best knives. Now, this is a Blade HQ exclusive. This Mordax is. So I love this knife. For a long time, this was my favorite knife. This was my favorite knife that got the most pocket time. I just love it. I love the look of it. It looks elegant. It looks tactical. It looks classy. It looks mean. It looks everything that you need it to look and everything that you want it to look. If you need it to look elegant and classy because you're going into a certain situation or setting, this knife can be that. If you need it to look tactical because you're going into another setting, it can be that. The ProTech Mordax button lock with the S45 VN, $250. Blade HQ exclusive, and a gorgeous, gorgeous knife. I watched a video with DCA Knife Center, and I keep mentioning them because I do watch so many videos. And if you're a knife enthusiast, you probably already know, and you probably watched a lot of those videos yourself. And DCA, they had a video where him and his partner were talking about, Seth, they were talking about next level knives. When a person gets to a certain level in their collecting, they go from buying those $60 to $80 knives, and they really, what are you going to buy when you buy your first $200 knife or your next level knife? And they had a lot of knives to choose from. And one of the overall biggest picks that they said that you can make, that said everything in a knife that you want it to say, that has everything to offer in a knife that you want it to offer, especially for that price, was the Lion Steel Mito, and another Italian-made knife. The Lion Steel Mito is a knife that you only have to hold one time, and you'll see exactly what the fuss is about. It has titanium frame lock. It has carbon fiber scales. It has a Bowler M390 steel. It has a glass breaker or a skull crusher or whatever you want to call it at the end. It has a deep carry pocket clip. Screws are inset. It is a milled pocket clip. This knife, it's a thumb flipper. It's easy. It's fidgety. It has everything in a knife you want from a next level knife. And there's many knives that a person could buy when they want their first next level knife, whether it be a ProTech or a Spyderco or anything like that, and Osborne 940. There's so many different knives that you can go for when you buy your first $200 knife, your first next level knife. That knife, this is your first big jump into the knife world, your first big investment. You want to get the biggest bang for your buck. There's a lot of knives that you can choose from. The one knife that you absolutely cannot go wrong with is the Lion Steel Mito. And you only have to hold it once in your hand, and you will see what the fuss is about, because it is phenomenal. Now, the one thing that I do not like about frame locks, and if you have any frame locks, you've probably experienced the same thing, especially people with bigger hands like myself. One of the things that I will do all the time, and I constantly catch myself doing this, is I will hold it and I will put too much pressure on the frame lock, so I cannot open it. And it causes me issues all the time. So I, a lot of times, have to open it with my left hand, which I am left-handed. I'm ambidextrous. I write with my left hand, throw a ball with my right hand, and stuff like that. But the Lion Steel Mito, a frame lock, Bowler M390, carbon fiber titanium frame lock, on bearings, phenomenal action. It's quick, it's snappy, it's Italian made, excellent warranty, classy, elegant, beautiful, milled deep carry pocket clip, incredibly razor sharp. Everything that you want in a knife, you are going to get out of the Lion Steel Mito. And if you've never experienced one, get one for yourself, and you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Because when they was talking about them, I did not have one. And I watched that video and I was like, okay, I'm going to try one out. I'm going to get one when I can. And I've got one now. Just like the rest of these knives. I can't believe I have them. And this is one of those knives, it's all a journey. And every step of that journey, you have to look back and see what that step was like, and how fun it was to take that step, and how fortunate you are to be where you are. And this knife is one of those knives that I don't even have to jerk it out of the box. I can just look at the box and I can just remember watching the video and what it was like to think about when I was going to get this knife, and then when it came in and I done an unboxing on the video. And I just can't say enough about the Lion Steel Mito. If you don't have one, get one. Try it out. Now, I've told you that I'm not a big fan of out the fronts and automatics, even though I have some. Another knife that I'm not big on, like I said, is lockbacks and slip joints. But one slip joint that I am a fan of is the Jack Wolf. Look at that Nebula Fat Carbon. Look at that. titanium bolsters. What is this? It is Bowler M390 steel. The action is so tight and firm and so snappy. I mean, this thing is not going to open in your pocket unless you want it to. The detent is, I mean, it's got some force. This is a razor sharp knife that is incredibly gorgeous. It's a smaller knife, so it's a little small for my hands. It does not get a lot of pocket time. Actually, I've only carried this once or twice. It does come with a leather slip, the little sheath, or sheath, I call them slips, but a leather little sheath, so you can slide it inside and just put the whole thing inside your pocket. I didn't use the sheath. I just slid it inside my pocket. It was much easier for me to do it that way. But this is the Little Bro, the Jack Wolf Little Bro slip joint. And if you've owned a Jack Wolf, you know what I'm talking about. These things are gorgeous. They're expensive. It's the smallest knife on the table by far, and it's one of the most expensive knives on the table. These knives come in at $299.99, so $300. So they are not cheap. But they have titanium, Nebula fat carbon, Bowler M390 steel, the packaging and the can that it comes with, and everything else that it offers, the little goodies that come along with the knife. It's just a total package. It's they're just great knives. If you're into slip joints, if you're into just elegant knives, if you're into knives that, like I said about the Mito, that represent that next level when it comes to knives or knife collecting, you've got to get a Jack Wolf knife. I don't care which one it is. There's a million Jack Wolfs to choose from. You can't go wrong as long as it's a Jack Wolf. Jack Wolf slip joints. I mean, I'm just not a slip joint guy. But I tell you right now, I love this knife. If this is one of those knives that if I lost it, if it got stolen, if my house burnt down, God forbid, there's too many things I'd be worried about. If my house burnt down, knives would be the last thing on my list. But if I ever lost this for any reason or purpose, this is one of those knives that I am no question going to be replacing. So one of the best $300 you can ever spend in the knife world. If you have the $300 to spend and blow on a knife, you can't go wrong with the Jack Wolf Little Bro slip joint knife. It's a phenomenal choice, and you will be glad that you own one. I had two knives that were Grail knives for me when I started this process. Two knives that I did not think that I would ever be able to get. They was just beyond my even my comprehension of being able to get them. Because I'm a dad of 6. I have 4 full-time, 4 little boys between the ages of 2 and 9. They take up all my time, all of my budget on a monthly basis. I have to come up with money here and there where I can to invest in my hobbies and stuff like that. So it might not seem like that, but that's the way that it is. And I'm just really good with my money, and I choose what I spend my extra money on. And this happens to be my hobby, so this is where my money goes. But there's 2 knives that I thought, these are the Grail knives that I'm going to get one day. And I can't wait. I will have one. I can't wait until I do. And there was the Sebenza and there was the Chavez knife. And I'm here to tell you right now, they are both on this table. And the first one that I want to show you is the Sebenza 31. It's the small Sebenza. This is the Forever Flag edition. It's titanium handles. It is Magna Cut steel. It has a nice lanyard here. It is not a deep carry pocket clip, but the screws are in set. It's a frame lock. And if you've ever owned a Sebenza, you know what the fuss is about. I don't carry this knife. I don't use this knife. I know they say use what you have and have what you use. And to an extent you should. And with knives especially, you know, there are knives that are going to be safe queens. That's just all there is to it. But most of the knives, for the sake of having them, you should use them. Get your use out of them. because you're never going to get your money back out of them. They are investments to an extent, but you're never going to get out of them what you put into them. It's just the way that it is. And that's why this is a hobby that is for the love of the game, so to speak. And knife collecting is something that you're not going to get rich on. It's going to cost you money. But there are knives, when you do invest in them, you invest in them and you want to take care of your investment. And this is one of those knives. I can put this in a safe, I can put it back, and I can put this on eBay, I can put it online, I can tell people that I've got it for sale, and I'm always going to be able to get my money out of the Sebenza. Now, I do want the large Sebenza. They just are sold out everywhere. You can't find one. And I'm waiting on them to come available. But I took what I can get, and all that was available was the small Sebenza 31 Forever Flag, and I snagged it up. I jumped on it so quick, and I'm telling you right now, it is everything I thought in a knife and more. It looks amazing, it feels amazing, it is everything that you want in a Sebenza. You hear all about the hype on the videos and the knife collectors and YouTube and the podcast and the blogs, and it's always Sebenza, 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 Sebenza. Everybody talks about Sebenzas, and not everybody has one, whether they can afford one or they can't find one or whatever. But man, when you get one, you understand. This, above all knives, is a knife that I'm absolutely blessed and fortunate to have, and I can't believe that I own it, and I'm thankful for owning it. And like I said, this is a knife that I do not use. I take care of this knife, I baby this knife, I jerk this knife out and look at it. This is a knife that if I'm carrying it somewhere, you can bet it's to church, it's to, like I said, a wedding, it's to some place where I am not going to be needing a knife very much, because this thing is just going to sit in my pocket unless I want to jerk it out and show it off, because it is the Sebenza 31. Now, that doesn't mean that I couldn't do anything I wanted to with this knife. This knife is rugged, it's well built. You can do anything with this knife that you can with any other knife on this table. I just don't want to. I want to take care of this knife and keep it looking brand new forever, because man, look at that. It's so beautiful. I don't want that look to change. I want it to keep looking this beautiful for as long as I have it. The next knife I have is another ProTech. And yes, it is an automatic. It's the second automatic on the table, and it's the only other automatic on the table. This is the TR3. And the only reason I bought this knife was because if you're gonna have the ProTech, you wanna have an automatic knife, just because they are an automatic knife company. And with the ProTech TR3, it's one of their best automatics. They have different blade shapes and stuff like that, different colors and satin finishes and different things like that. But the TR3 is basically ProTech wrapped up in a small package. It's the quality of ProTech, the reliability, the performance of ProTech. It's everything that ProTech has to offer in one knife you get right here in the TR3. Yes, there are other knives like the Mordax and stuff like that, but the Mordax isn't an automatic knife, so you don't experience that part of ProTech in that knife. But this is a knife, everything that ProTech has to offer, you get in this one little knife. It's tactical, it's powerful, it's strong, it's forceful. Another knife that is aluminum handles. It is, let me see, it is 154 steel. So it's not the best steel, 154 cm, but I mean, it is what it is. You're not buying this knife to go out and chop down trees or baton or to do feather sticking. You're just not. That's not what this knife is for. The ProTech TR3. Now this is a knife that's one of the cheaper ones on the table. This knife right here is $190. They do have more expensive options and offerings, but $190 is a good price, and you can find them all day long for the ProTech TR3. Do you see that action? Did you see that? I mean, that's better than that daggone LUDT. I mean, it is quick. As soon as you hit that button, that knife is in position. Boom, it's in position. It's ready to go to work. This is tactical. This is, I mean, it's just, this is a badass knife. Excuse my language. This is a knife that is muscle. That's what this knife is. When you jerk this knife out and you pop that sucker open, you mean business. You've got a job to do, and this knife is what you're going to use to do it. And I love this knife. It's $190, and it's a ProTech TR3. I actually want a TR4. I saw one today online, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. The second grill knife that I told you about was the Chavez, and here we go. The Chavez Liberation. Titanium frame handle, deep carry pocket clip with their typical and standard and well-known skull pocket clip. It is, what is this? Bowler 390 steel. It's another one of those frame locks, even though it has dual thumb studs. It's another one of those frame locks where I come into that same problem where I'm putting too much pressure on the frame to open it, so I got to be really careful with this knife. But it's easy one-handed open and closing. Just a gorgeous knife. Chavez is, look at that. That's all. I mean, I don't even know what to say about a Chavez knife. I don't even know what to say about Chavez. Chavez knives. I mean, this knife. Now I also have, I've got the Boker and Chavez mini rendition collaboration. It's a mini automatic. I got that because I couldn't afford this at the time. And as soon as I could, I jumped on this thing. These are $350, so they are not cheap. But a Chavez is a Chavez is a Chavez. And all you got to do is own one, and you're going to understand. And I say that about all these knives, but it's the truth every single time. All you got to do is own one of these knives, and you're going to see what the fuss is about. This is not everybody's cup of tea. You can get them in the satin finish instead of the black coated. You can get them in the different micarta or titanium handles instead of the carbon fiber. You can get them in a lot of different options. It's not reverse carry pocket clip, so it's only on one side. It's only tip up. So there are limited options with this knife. You know, you can't switch it around to different left-handed or right-handed. You can't go tip down. What you see is what you get, but what you see is enough. And this is one of those knives, it doesn't matter if it's tip up or tip down. It doesn't matter if it's left-handed or right-handed. This knife is fine just the way it is, and I will conform to the knife instead of the knife conforming to me, because this knife is amazing. I mean, that's a little cliche, a little tongue-in-cheek, but obviously no knife is that important. But you know, it's just kidding. But it is what it is. I don't care what position this knife is. This is just one of those knives that it is what it is. It's a Chavez, and I want another one. I want 5 more Chavezes. I want every option that Chavez has. I want every color that they have. I want the Liberation. I want the rendition. I want every one they've got, because when you own one, you realize it's not enough, because these things are amazing. Look how big that knife is. This is another one of those knives, though, also. You can do anything with this knife. I mean, you can EDC this knife and, you know, cut paper. It's a huge, I mean, it's that flat grind. You can definitely slice with it. It's a slicer. It's incredibly sharp. So you can do anything with this knife. But this knife is one of those knives that scream tactical. So, you know, limited uses and stuff like that. So this is a great knife that I can't speak highly enough about. And this is another one of those knives that, God forbid anything ever happened and I lost this knife, I'm buying again. You can bet your bottom dollar I would get another one. I love this knife, and it is the Chavez Liberation. The next few knives that I've got are all fixed blades, and then I'm done. The first fixed blade I have is Death Valley Forge. This is the Jackal. Now, Death Valley Forge, they have a website. They're hard to find. You don't see them on a lot of your knife websites, online marketers and retailers. But I came across this knife and a couple other ones and I snagged this one up, and I realized that I should have gotten the other ones as well, because man, this knife is amazing. This is one of my #1 carried most pocket times as far as the fixed blade goes. I carry a lot of fixed blades, but this is the one I've carried by far the most. Beautiful handles, green liners, a nice lanyard hole. It's got really nice aggressive jimping. The steel, I'm pretty sure, is M4. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure that it's M4. They use M4 for a lot of their knives, but they are Death Valley Forge. You can find them online. They're an amazing, amazing knife maker, and they have a lot of different options. Their knives are usually around $350 up to $500, $600, $700, depending on how big the knife is or what model that you're wanting of theirs. But this is the Jackal. It's discontinued. They don't make it anymore. I paid about $250 for this secondhand, and it comes with a great leather sheath, and it's worth every penny of it. It is incredibly razor sharp. I've never sharpened it one time. When I bought it, it had never been sharpened, and it was still razor sharp. I've used it for everything. I've used this knife on so many different things. I've cut oranges and apples. I've sharpened pencils. I've cut stuff and cut boxes. I mean, I've done so much with this knife since I've had it, and I've never once sharpened it, and it's still razor sharp. And it is the Death Valley Forge Jackal. And I've got a lot of fixed blades, and this was that first custom fixed blade that I bought. And when you get into customs, it's a whole nother world. I probably couldn't have bought it at the time if it had been first hand or brand new, but because I got it second hand and I got it at a discounted price, I could afford it. And so I was able to get it, and I realized now, and almost immediately I realized that I should have got the other ones as well. And I went back to get them, and they were already gone. And I'm not surprised, because this knife is amazing. Death Valley Forge, the Jackal. This next knife, you see this guy everywhere right now. TJ Schwartz. This is the Overland. He has a couple knives that I really, really want. He used to work for CRKT, and the Overland actually is a CRK knife, a folder. And then he went into business for himself as a maker, and he made this as a fixed blade. It's really thin stock, scales and stuff like that. The stock's not so thin, but with the scales and everything, it's pretty narrow and thin, but it also feels strong and powerful. Like, it really feels like it's ready to go to work. He has the LT5, the Lost Trail 5, which is amazing, and I want one really bad, and I'm going to get it soon. But I do not have one yet. They were sold out when I went online to get one, and this wasn't sold out, so I snatched one of these up, and it is the Overland. I love the blade shape. The steel is Magna Cut steel. You can get the scales either in micarta, you can get G10, you can get whatever you want. You can swap the scales out. He has a lanyard hole up here. The jimping is aggressive. The blade shape is perfect for whatever you need to do. You can get different grips, and the ergonomics on this knife is second to none. I mean, this knife is fantastic. It is a knife that when you put it in your hand, you can tell it wants to go to work. Another great thing about this knife is it comes with the Kydex sheath. By far, no questions asked, it is the best Kydex sheath I own of all of my fixed blades. When you pop it in, that snap is so loud. Actually, right here it is. I mean, and it ain't going nowhere. That snap. Kydex sheath, a nice pocket clip, or a belt clip I should say. This knife is amazing. TJ Schwartz, the Overland. I saw him online, and I saw him at the blade shows, and people were carrying them, and they were always sold out. I even emailed him like, hey, can I get an LT5? He said, hey man, I can't do it that way. I was willing to pay for one in advance. I didn't care if it was 6 months in advance. I just want one. He said, I cannot do that. Just keep watching the website. They're going to drop when they drop, and I'll try to email you when I can. And he kept emailing me, and I just kept missing his emails and stuff because I'd be so busy. And I would see him 5 hours later, and I'd be like, oh, he emailed me today. And I'd jump online, they'd already be sold out within 5 hours. So I kept looking and looking and looking, and finally I did see the Overland that was not sold out. And if you do go on schwartzknives.com, you're going to see that most of his knives are always sold out. But he also has a great little feature on his website. You can actually order a knife to where they will build it to your specs, exactly what handles you want, exactly what blade finish you want, exactly how you want the Kydex sheath, what color, what ringlets or whatever they're called, everything. You get to pick the colors, the material, you pick everything, and they will build it exactly how you want for the same exact price. Now this knife is $295 plus shipping, handling, and tax. I think I paid like $310 for it total. It came here within 10 days from ordering it, so it was pretty quick. And I absolutely love this knife. It's an amazing knife. And if you haven't seen TJ Schwartz or Schwartz Knives, check them out online. You'll see what the fuss is about. I love this knife, an Italian-made knife, the Lion Steel M5. But this thing is so huge. I don't get to go camping a lot or go outdoors and use the knives like I really want to. So all these knives, the Essees and the M5s and the K-bars and stuff that I have, the Beckers, I don't get to go out and actually use them for survival. I have Jokers and Condors, I have everything, and I don't get to use them like I want to. The Moras and stuff, they're just sitting there. So all of my knife experiences get enjoyed through EDC endeavors. So unfortunately, this knife is a knife that I really don't get to use a lot because of how big it is. It basically is a sword on your hip. The blade stock is incredibly thick. The blade is, the material is called Sleipner or Sleipner, S-L-E-I-P-N-E-R. I'm not familiar with that stuff. It's got micarta or G10 handles. You can get either one. And they actually canoe it out and make it like a taco, and they make it into one piece, and they fit it down, the blade right down into there, canoe it out. They put a couple pins through it. Extremely firm. I mean, this knife feels so powerful and strong. I could chop down a tree with this knife. It's so powerful and strong. You can feel it in your hands. And it's Italian made. It's razor sharp. They're not cheap. They come with a great leather sheath, good retention, a good snap that holds it in place, retention strap. Just a great, I could chop down a tree and it would do it. This knife is so strong and powerful, and I would love to be able to carry this knife more because of how beautiful it is and just the looks of it, but it's just too big to carry on an EDC basis. So I don't get to use it as much as I want, but every time I jerk it out and look at it, I love it so much. It's one of those knives that I'm wowed by this knife. I love this knife. I'm blown away by this knife. I'm so thankful to own this knife. Of all the knives that I have, if I was to go to the woods, or if I had to grab a bug out bag because hit the fan or something, and I had to go, grabbing my boys and leaving, this is the woods knife, the camping knife, survival knife, whatever you want to call it, that I'm grabbing, because it's a Lion Steel. It's sturdy, it's stout, it's strong, it's powerful, it's got a great sheath, and I guarantee you I can do anything with this knife that I need to do. Anything at all, and it's gonna hold up, it's gonna stand up to any abuse that you want to put it through, to an extent. There's an exception to every rule, but it's a Lion Steel M5, and these come in right around 150 to 160. And the last knife that I have is by far the greatest knife you will ever buy, in my opinion. You can do anything with the fixed blade that you can with the folder, but you cannot do anything with the folder that you can with the fixed blade. So if you could only have one knife and that was it, you should always choose a fixed blade. And one fixed blade that I have that has blown me away, and I love it so much, it's a Winkler. This is a Winkler fixed blade. It's tactical but beautiful. It's elegant but rugged. It's strong but nimble. It's everything that you want in a knife and more. It's got good milled jimping right there, so it's real, just, I mean, it's beautiful. It just looks different. They call it, it's like a black laminate material. They just call it a laminate material for the handle. It's got a drilled hole here for a lanyard or whatever. The sheath is incredible. I mean, the sheath is as nice as the daggone knife is. You can carry it appendix carry, you can carry it vertical carry, you can do anything that you want with it. It's $350. I'd seen Winkler knives, I'd heard about Winkler knives. I never thought that I would be able to afford one or get one. Everything that I read or saw about Winkler knives was how great they were, how next level they were, how everybody that owned them loved them, was blown away. And they were just, when it comes to fixed blades, they are one of the kings at the top of the mountain. I mean, there's several of them, but they are one of them that belongs right there at the top. And when you own a Winkler knife, or you just feel one in your hands, you understand the fuss. If you do not have one, if you have never held one or experienced one, go to a knife store, go to a knife collector, go to a knife enthusiast, whoever you've got to find. Email me, I'll meet you if you live close by, just to let you hold it and experience it, because you need to experience a Winkler knife, because these things are amazing. $350, it's 80 CRV steel, great edge retention. I've cut myself on this knife so many daggone times. My little boy actually nicked his thumb the other day on it. He was so proud. He was like, "Dad, I finally cut myself on a knife." It's a rite of passage. Anybody that collects knives knows that. Everybody that's a knife collector, you're gonna have, and you use knives a lot, you're gonna have nicks and stuff. I cut my hand the other day right on the palm, making a video. It just happens. This knife is so sharp, it's easy to do. But it's the Winkler fixed blade, and it is gorgeous. I love this knife. If I had to grab one knife and run, it's gonna be this knife, because this knife you can do anything with. Anything. You can chop a tree down with this knife. But this is a close second. You just can't do you could do the batoning. It's thick enough to definitely do it. I just don't think that I would want to do the same things with this knife that I would with this. But if I was ever needs like self-defense, or slicing fruit or EDC purposes, anything typical nice usage, this knife right here is going to do. Now, if there was a knife that I just wanted to grab because of investments, or how much I liked owning it, and just because I had the time to grab it, just because I don't want to lose it, this is one of those knives that I do not want to lose. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and it's the Winkler fixed blade. Get one for yourself, or try them out anywhere you can, and you will understand exactly what I'm saying. All in all, I am so blessed and fortunate. This is just a fraction of my knives. I have knives that cost way more. I have knives that cost way less. I have knives that are big, knives that are small, fixed blades, folders. I have so many knives, and I'm so blessed and fortunate. And I realize how far I've come since I started collecting knives, and how far I still want to go, and how many more knives I want to get. You can never have enough knives if you're a knife collector. People say, "How many knives do you want?" I want them all. Every one of them. I want every knife there is. If it's a butter knife, I want it. I love blades. I love knives. I love all things blades. Me and my boys collect them together. It's a thing that we enjoy together. They actually, when they come in and we unbox them, they fight over, "Ooh, that one's going to be mine," or "That one's going to be mine," and they pick them out. They're all really mine. But I'll let them claim them if they want to. When they get older, they will be theirs. But it is what it is. I love knives. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have these, and something happened here recently, which is going to lead into the next part of this closing video. Someone actually reached out to me and they said, "Man, Chris, I really need a knife right now. I really need a knife." And I was like, "Well, I've got plenty of knives. What do you need?" And he was like, I can't afford a knife right now. That's the problem. I need one really bad, but I can't afford a knife. With the economy the way that it is right now, the last thing I can afford is a knife. The economy is so bad." And he's like, "And I definitely don't want to come over and get any of your knives, because you've got a lot of expensive knives, and I can't afford that." I was like, "All right, I understand. Let me see what I can find, and I'll try to help you out." But that made me think and realize I'm starting this YouTube channel, and I'm wanting to share these knives as a way for me to actually use and play with my knives and show them off, and experience them with other people that are in the knife community. So I want to make that grow, but I also like the opportunity or the chance of helping somebody else to experience knifing or knife collecting or knifing. That was, I can't believe I just said that. But under experiencing the feel of getting a really nice knife. So I'm going to put up a contest. This is going to help my channel grow, but this is also going to help bless somebody else, which is something I really want to do and I would feel really good about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a contest on January the 3rd, 2 months from now. I'm going to have, it's not going to be a drawing. This is going to be at my discretion. No one that I know, it's not going to be any hocus pocus or mumbo jumbo, nothing like that. It's going to be a legit, fair contest. Anybody that likes, subscribes, and leaves a comment on this video, 2 months from now, I'm going to look through those comments and I'm going to pick out the comment that I like the best. And that person gets to go to bladehq.com and spend $200 on the knife of their choice. Why am I doing it that way? Simple. If I want a knife, I don't want a knife that you're picking out for me. You might not like the kind of knives that I like. Now, granted, I want every knife I can get, but there are knives that I like. And I have a wish list on Blade HQ. I have a wish list on Knife Center. And I'm sure that other knife collectors out there have knives that they want to get. So instead of offering a knife at my choice, anybody that partakes in this contest, if you win, you get to go and pick out the knife of your choice. It's going to be on me. Trust me, I spend a lot of money with Blade HQ and Knife Center, so I've got an account. So you can go on there and you'll get to pick out the knife of your choice. Your budget's going to be $200. That counts. Shipping is already paid for. I get free shipping, but that counts tax and everything. So $200 is your budget. So whatever you want to get that's $200 or less, you get to pick out, and it's going to be on me. Again, the way that you enter this is like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I don't care what the comment is. Tell me what your favorite knife is. Tell me why you like collecting knives. Tell me what knife you would like to own. Tell me if there was something about one of my knives that you liked. Tell me a story about knife collecting or someone that had a knife that reminded you of something from your childhood. I don't care what your comment is. Leave a comment. I'm going to go over those comments and I'm going to look and I'm going to pick out the one that means the most to me, the one that I like, the one that stands out. And that person, I will reach out to them and I will tell them that they are the lucky winner on January the 3rd. They're going to get to go onto Blade HQ again, tell me what knife they want. I'll pick it out and pay for it, and I'll have it sent to their door. And I really look forward to blessing somebody and giving them a knife that might help their collection grow, and hopefully it's somebody that doesn't have a lot of nice knives. But if you're somebody that has a ton of nice knives and you just want another one, and your comment's the one that stands out the most to me, by all means, you're the one that wins. So leave a comment, like and subscribe, and on January the 3rd, I will let everybody know who the winner is, and one lucky winner is going to get the knife of their choice from Blade HQ. Having said all that, I'm Chris, the Unprofessional Dad, and these are just a few of my knives that I'm extremely lucky, fortunate, and blessed to have. Thank you for spending your time with me, watching some of my knives, and listening to me ramble on. Till the next video, have a great one and enjoy your knives.